Hey guys, David Duford here, where I help insurance agents become top producers. My website's davidduford.com. Today is the third installment of a four-part video series on my recent experience trying to buy a new vehicle for my wife unsuccessfully and dealing with what I believe were ill-trained salespeople and sales managers even. And that's what I'm really going to talk about today, which is what I felt to be a pretty poor buying experience right at the close. And so let me set this up for you so you can kind of understand where I'm going with this and give you my thoughts. Again, I am not a car salesperson. I'm looking at this merely from the perspective of a top salesperson and trainer in the insurance business and kind of what my perception was of the whole experience. Feel free to critique me in the comments below if you're a car salesperson. Would love to have your insight, really. So here's the deal. So I found a van that I think I might be interested in buying. I was just kind of, tepidly interested, but interested for the right price. And I made that clear. And I told the guy that much. They didn't have the one that I exactly wanted. And so we went back to make an offer. And he came back out with the sheet. It had the trade-in value. It had the price. It had the bottom line number that I was going to pay for. And I told the guy, I said, hey, look, I like this, but it's not in my budget. It's not what I want to spend. Plus the trade-in is a couple $1,000s off. And then there's these fees here. This doesn't make sense to me. I like the van, but it doesn't make sense. I didn't say no to buying the van, but I said, yeah, it's out of my range. So he said, kind of rebuttal back and forth, trying to quantify why he believed what he qualified, what he believed the trade-in was worth, blah, 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 blah. And I just said, yeah, but still out of my range. Not really the van I wanted. It was a van with more features in it, more ringing bells and all that stuff. So he came back after that and said, Dave, looks like I found the van you're looking for. It's at another dealership within our corporation. It's an extra $300 to get it here. Here's the information on how all this stuff works. The price tag, blah, blah, blah. Here's your bottom line figure. And so it was, I don't know. I had a number in my head, and the number in my head that I was at was maybe 4,000 more than I anticipated. And so I told the guy, I said, I really expected to be at, let's see, the number I was at was 15,000 after trade and everything. The number I expected to be, I was at 15,000. I've looked at the prices. I've looked at what you got. It's not exactly the one I want. Hey, I could do something for 15,000, but where you're at right there on the price, it's just too much. The trade-in, the blah, 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 the price and all this stuff. And I said, yeah. I didn't say no to it, but again, I'm keeping the window open to express interest in this product, right, in this vehicle, and maybe they could work a deal up. We even got down to the price tag, took out some things out of it to lower it down. It was at like 23 and a half, right? And I'm like, that's just too much, man. And I told him, I said, I want to pay straight cash. I prior to told him I'm going to pay straight cash. You'll have your money today, blah, 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 blah. And this is kind of where I talked about in last vehicle where he was like, look, your trade-in's not that hot. He insulted me to a certain extent. And so he took it back, and we shook hands, and he probably used the old trick you guys use where you get the car key and you don't give it back to the guy, you get it back to the sales manager. So we had one last bout. And the sales manager said, yo, we'd really love your business, but, what's it going to take to get there? And I just recited the same low ball number, 15,000 for the trade-in, for everything is what I want to pay cash for the deal. Did not want to finance, blah, 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 blah. And he said, well, we just can't lower it beyond this price. There's nothing we can do about this. And I just stood there. I was like, okay, you guys have a good day. And I walked on out. So that was what happened. And where my gripe is with this whole explanation, and I appreciate your patience in me explaining it, is there was no attempt to make a creative offer that would make sense or at least further the opportunity to close the deal. So here's what I mean. What irritated me as somebody who trains insurance agents, recruits them, coaches them, understands sales, is that I was literally inside of the pit with the sales managers that negotiate the prices with the salesperson and the sales manager. I'm like not running out pissed. I'm not angry. I'm on the lot. I came back a second day. These guys should stop short at nothing to exhaust all the options available to come up with a creative deal. And I just felt they let me walk out, because where I was at, and when I was in the pit with the guys, is that I said, I could probably come up a couple of $1,000 maybe, but I just can't pay $23,500. And that's where I think these guys dropped the ball. They got me back to the point where, I'm not showing that I'm not interested. I'm interested for the right price. So what could have they done that they didn't do? They could have done finance. What if they said, hey, why don't we finance this for 12 months or for 36 months? Let's just get this this deal done. Let's go ahead and put in, maybe a $200 a month payment to get the rest of this down. Let's throw in, maybe a free, stuff that you pack stuff on the top of your van. I don't know what you call those things, but let's throw in some deals to make this thing happen for the same price. Let's move a vehicle today when we've got an opportunity, so this guy doesn't walk off and buy from Toyota or another Honda dealership up the road. And that's my point. Is like there was no attempt to try to come up and reconcile this small difference, because I made it clear that I was willing to work with them, but they made no desire or action to come off the price or to construct a creative deal. So what am I trying to say here? If you're in sales, don't let a prospect who's interested in buying walk away. If you've gotten down to the close and you've pre-qualified them, they got the bank, budget, health, if we're talking life insurance, need and want, if you don't close them, then you're really messing something up. If you've got a guy that walks on the car lot twice who is still working with you on a price, you need to think on your feet and come up with unique, creative ways to make the deal done. And you guys in car sales have all sorts of opportunities to do this. People buy vehicles for the dumbest reasons. Like, for example, I'm sure there are women that buy a van because of how many car holders it has. And the only reason I say women is because, moms, let's put it that way. It's got something that's just super cool about it, and they like it. Features sell this stuff. Why not show a way to own some additional stuff that may be of interest to you? My wife loved the shop vac on the Honda Odyssey. So what I'm trying to say here, guys, is you got to know who you're talking to, your prospect. You've got to do a good job of pre-qualifying. I covered that on the first video. And so when it comes down to closing, you can keep notes of the things that really excite your prospect, that really excite and interest them, and then leverage that if it isn't necessarily included in the final package, because you're dropping the ball at the 1 yard line, all right? You can't do that when you're that close. And it just was very disappointing to see not just a salesperson, which I can understand an untrained salesperson not going all the way, but a sales manager not taking the extra couple of steps to creatively solve this non-sales problem. Because at the end of the day, it was a bunch of wasted time. Nobody was better off. And I definitely didn't say 15 flat, don't give a shit. I was giving them opportunities to come up with a unique opportunity or a unique kind of sales presentation or sales package to make it sensible. But they just didn't offer. They did offer me financing. I said no to it, but there's no reason why they couldn't say, hey, why don't we just finance this portion or do something creative? So anyways, just some thoughts for you guys who sell cars to think about when you deal with clients or prospects. And then also for you salespeople out there too. Don't drop the ball when you've got the deal made, okay? Learn how to objection handle, learn how to close business uniquely so that you get the deal, and creative packages. If you don't do that, you're not going to succeed. David Duford at davidduford.com. I invite you to check my website out if you are interested in selling life insurance. I recruit agents to sales and marketing systems for final expense, annuities, and also mortgage protection and Medicare supplements. And make sure you go to my YouTube channel. Just put in David Duford. You'll see it pretty clearly. I've got all sorts of resources on selling, dealing with the sales process for insurance agents, and really just salespeople in general. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to comment below. I'd love your perspective on what you think I did wrong or right, or kind of your just perspective of dealing with car salespeople would be great. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.